You can't grow the perfect monstera forever. Eventually, you run out of space, or your pot size gets too big, or your climbing pole's not working anymore, but you will need to start over. Here's why you need to cut your monstera. This is my partner's monstera that I've shared a few times, and because it has such great conditions and consistent lighting, it grows extremely quickly. I'd say on average it puts about just over one leaf per month on each of its two stems. Now eventually when you run out of space with your monstera, it's absolutely essential that you take a top cutting with the largest leaves. If you want to continue your plant with the largest leaves possible while still giving it space to grow again, this is your best option. Last time I cut this monstera, I water propagated it, but I'm pretty convinced that air layering is the fastest and safest way to have this monstera develop new roots before even cutting the plant. On larger plants, you have to ensure that you get as many aerial roots as possible to fit into this bag. It will need an extensive root system to support such large leaves. With small roots and a long stem or large leaves, the roots won't be able to provide water and nutrients to the plant, so this will cause the plant to kill off foliage in an attempt to survive. For this air layering, I'm using a combination of sphagnum moss, extra large perlite, and cocoa chips. Because the roots were so thick, I had to use larger Ziploc bags. And once the growing medium was saturated with water, I figured that the weight of the contents would become an issue, so I actually had to wrap everything with plastic wrap just to keep it in place. I left an opening to fill with water, and I've been using a funnel and a squirt bottle to ensure that the medium stays moist. After about 2 months, I'm seeing a lot of amazing growth. The one thing that I did notice is that the bag was so large, a lot of water tended to pool at the bottom. So basically, I have this pool at the bottom and loose, slightly damp potting medium at the top. It's probably not a big deal. The roots are still growing really well, but here we are. Now we have to cut just below the air layer. Make sure you have a sharp, clean knife. Disinfect your tools with rubbing alcohol. A straight edge is better. Yes, this is a bread knife, but also, have you considered that you're not my dad? Don't tell me what to do. Start removing all the moss and other materials away from the roots to prepare for potting. The aerial roots have continued to grow, as well as sprouting secondary and even tertiary root systems. On one of the cuttings, I did need to remove a lower stem portion because the bulk of the air layered roots were well above it. When you have such large leaves, the most important question that you need to be asking yourself is, do I think that these roots can support all of the foliage that I currently have on the plant? And generally, you should be leaning towards probably not, if you want to be safe. The more foliage, the harder the roots will have to work. And if the roots aren't doing its job, the plant will kill off some of the lower foliage, and it generally won't result in the healthiest start that you can get. So if your roots are truly not ready to support this plant, you can just wait longer and get larger roots. You could cut off more foliage, or you could just increase your light. Your monstera also needs a stable climbing support for larger upright growth, and I forgot to make sure that I had one, so honestly, even this broken rake handle will do just fine, but oh, thankfully I remembered I left one outside. I just have to go get it. I do have a couple different pot sizes, so I have to make sure that both of these cuttings can fit in here anyway before I even bother trying to pot them up. So if you look deep down in here, this petiole is about to get buried. So what I should probably do is just cut this off because it's very likely going to get petiole rot, which is going to kill off this leaf anyway. Now for the important stuff. From here, you'll need to water your plant and put your plant in the same high lighting that you had to get these leaves in the first place. Because corners in your home are significantly darker, this plant gets supplemental lighting from Soltech's Aspect Grow Light. Use a wooden stick all the way to the bottom of the pot to make sure that your soil is drying out. Wet soil more than a week later is probably not a good sign. The triangle of despair, which is lack of light, poor soil drainage, and too large of a pot, those are going to be your most common issues. When your plant roots successfully and continues to grow, all you need to do is repeat these steps for the rest of your life. See ya!